All right, welcome to another episode of the Political Playbook. I'm Wyatt, and these are my co-hosts Nick and Garrett. So Nick, this is your first time on. Garrett, happy to have you back. So today's topic is we're going to be going over pretty much ICE in general. There's a lot of happenings in Minnesota. I guess to give an intro for me, this is just my view, and then we'll dive into each one of you guys. I feel like overall, elections have consequences. Trump won the election. One of the big reasons he won is because people thought that the immigration issue was handled so poorly. And, pretty much my view is that he's going to be judged pretty heavily on how he handles the issue. So the midterms will be a good metric for that. Now it's gotten a little bit more publicity, like what ICE is doing and all of that. So just really quick, just to help us along, the difference between ICE and border security. Border security is the actual stopping of the crossings, and then ICE is more about how do we get the people that are currently here, that are here illegally, out of here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel like most people would say that generally border security, that's like an A plus. I feel like if we're just calling balls and strikes, like the number of crossings is near zero, literally.
Yeah,
Um,
virtually zero. Yeah.
but ICE and deportations is where we get into like controversy. So just overall, Nick, we'll start with you. We'll dive into specifics later, but how do you feel like 1 year in, how have we handled like ICE, or how has ICE handled things?
I have mixed feelings about ICE at the moment. Um, I do believe we need to get some of the illegal immigrants that we have in the country out, but I think they have fumbled the bag pretty badly here as of late, especially with the turning over the new year.
Gotcha. So you feel like it's a necessary thing, but like maybe we could be doing better. Gotcha. Okay. And then Garrett, what do you think so far about ICE? How they've been doing?
Okay. So I'm gonna preface this with basically what I'd already told you guys. I have been so busy lately that I'm virtually uninformed on a lot of this stuff. Um, but just going with like how I was feeling probably before today, I think ICE is doing a necessary job, just like Nick and I presume. I do think we need to get the illegals who crossed under Biden and even during Trump's first presidency or the Obama presidency. We need to work on getting these people out. Um, and it does seem like there have at least been some oopsie daisies in the most polite and generous term within the last couple months. They've just now seemed to start happening. So like from what I've gathered, ICE was doing pretty great. Like there were some encounters with like U.S. citizens getting stopped and misidentified as illegal aliens. But now it seems like there's actual like lethal force being taken when it is debatable lethal force should have been, right? And I'm assuming we're going to go over more than just the most recent case today. But that's kind of where I stand. Like I said, I am supportive of ICE. I'm supportive of all forms of law enforcement. I was a big advocate in 2024 for border control and getting these legal immigrants out of the country. Uh, it just seems like at least in the last, I can think of two scenarios off the top of my head. One at least so far appears to be a grievous overreach by some of the what should be the more trusted people in our society, which is law enforcement officers.
Yeah, and that's kind of my big concern too, is, like, ICE is only like 20 years old. Like, all of us on this call pretty much are older than ICE except for maybe Nick, right? So it's just so new, and it seems to be such a necessary thing with all of the immigrants that we do have, that whenever you politicize it and whenever like you're hurting the integrity of like what will be like a very necessary institution, I feel like it's gonna like hurt us, because like this is gonna lead to people pushing for like the abolishment of ICE. And like I got to be honest with you, I don't really blame them. Like if ICE looks like this going forward, I would rather not have ICE. I would rather do away with it and start over, because like this is unacceptable. So like obviously, what do we like about ICE? And this is kind of open to anybody. Like what do we like about them? And then what do we think that they can fix?
Nick, I'll let you go first.
I do like how we've started to really clean up the immigrants we have here, um, especially with the criminal charges. Kind of a big thing for me is if you're an immigrant, you come in here and you break a law, a pretty big one, like even assault. I'm pretty no tolerant on it. Like you got to clean up your act when you get here, and I do applaud them for that. They are cleaning up a lot of the bad apples in the immigrant sector. But other than that, not much to like about them, recently at least.
Gotcha. What about you, Garrett?
I mean, so basically the same thing. So when ICE, if you're saying they're about 20 years old, were they founded by Bush?
Maybe even like the tail end of Clinton. I think they were found. Well, no, I
Okay.
guess it would have had no. It would have had to have been Bush. I think you're right.
So regardless, they do perform a necessary duty, right? They are in a secondary arm of border security, right? So border security, because the southern border is just so vast, um, you can't secure all of it, and people are going to get away, get through, and you have to have an enforcement arm that is able to go after them within the United States and remove them. Another function of ICE is, like I said, going in, like they have been going into these prisons, finding people who are undocumented and are in jail for actual crimes and saying, no, you're not going to sit in a U.S. prison. We're going to send you back to where you came from. They can deal with you there. And then I'm also a big fan of like this kind of like I don't want to say tertiary, but like this like people coming from any country and overstaying their visa or no longer being eligible for a work visa or all like visa temporary um temporary residency for these people that they've overstayed it or they are no longer available or what's the word, they're no longer, they no longer have it, and removing them.
Like they're no
um
longer eligible for.
yeah, eligible, yes, thank
Gotcha.
you. And removing them from the country as well. So it's not just illegal crossings that ICE handles, it's anyone who's overstayed a visa or is no longer eligible to have the visa they had previously. um and then also, so the secretary of who is it Homeland Security that decides like whether or not these people
Yeah.
are.
So this would be
Yeah.
Christy Nome is her name.
Right. So people coming in and like supporting ISIS, that was a big thing, or supporting Iran or the Ayatollah and protesting for them. They were like, "Hey, we're going to revoke your visas because we have that power." And personally, I think that's a good thing too. Like you should not be able to come to the United States on a visa and then openly declare like, "No, I'm in favor of a terrorist organization." Like I'm not a big fan of that. Overall, like I said, I think they perform a very necessary job. I think overwhelmingly they do a very good job at it, especially giving the right leadership and people kind of taking the reins off them. I'm sure we're going to argue that the reins have been maybe loosened a little too much. Um, but I mean, really, there's been, with no change in funding from the Biden administration to now, it's remarkable how much of a difference has been made with both
Well,
ICE and border
just
security.
well, well, no. So the most recent funding. So for the Biden administration, they got about 9 billion, and that was actually the highest that they'd ever received. In 2025, ICE was given 75 billion. So almost 8 times what they've probably got
Oh,
more.
damn.
They almost got more last year than they did in their entire history, almost. If I was
Okay,
doing the
so
math, it's
okay,
a
but
significant
so
jump.
right, yeah, obviously. I didn't know that that's what they got in 2025. But prior to 2025, I mean, it was under Biden that they had their biggest budgetary leap, though, correct?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
And they were,
2024 was their biggest like budget ever.
and then prior to the new budget in 2025, they were already being effective in implementing new policies from the Trump administration, correct?
Yeah, yeah, sure, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So just wanting to be clear, like I said, I'm pretty uninformed on just about everything at this point. So,
No, you're fine. I'm not
uh,
gonna hold you and Nick to the same standard. I'm a freak, so y'all are good. Um, no, go ahead. Finish up your thoughts.
well, that was basically it. As part of the question, anyway. Like I
I
said,
got you.
I support them. It's just you can't you when you have an organization like ICE, or I mean, for instance, the any kind of federal law enforcement agency, so even the FBI, there is a stricter level of scrutiny, and should be a higher a higher standard that we hold these people to. And when that standard's not met, it's just like the police officers, when there's a bad shoot as a police officer, kind of all police officers and all police take the heat. I think that's kind of the case with ICE too. Like, so some of these bad incidents or what people think are bad incidences are uh, kind of reflecting poorly on the organization as a whole. And that's just kind of the nature of this beast, because you're holding the whole organization to a higher standard, and you're always going to have bad apples in every organization, right?
Yeah, and that's not always fair, and that's not fair for cops, just like it's not fair for ICE, just like it's not fair for like, teachers. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
it's a couple of bad apples kind of ruin the fun for everybody. But I think the problem here, at least like going to my answer for this question is like, listen, like part of the areas that I like about ICE is that like we can use them to target criminals. Like we can get somebody who's here illegally, somebody who's here to like traffic drugs or here to kill people on behalf of the cartel. We can get those people out of here, right? I think my criticism is that like I don't really see that. Believe me, if they were capturing major cartel figures on a like routine basis, we would know about it. This administration is not shy about bragging about, killing people, detaining people. Like whenever they bombed those boats in Venezuela, I know this isn't immigration. They couldn't help but show the world, you know? And I think what we're finding with like immigration, this is CBP data. So this is Customs and Border Patrol data. 73% of the detainees have no criminal conviction.
I mean,
So
besides being illegal immigrants in general, right? Like unregistered
so
immigrants.
that is a civil can't but either way they have not been tried. So um like that is someone who has no record whatsoever. 73% have zero record whatsoever. Um Only 5% have been violent in 2020. We just got the 2025 data 2 weeks ago. Um Only 5% of the total deportations are violent criminals. The other 5% are immigration related crimes, such as like skipping out on your court date or whatever. 6% are traffic, and then the rest is like other, property crime like theft or abuse of property or whatever. But like I'm seeing that like they're not really going after cartel guys, which is kind of like what I think people think that ICE is normally doing. And I'm not saying that they don't catch a PDF file every once in a while or a murderer or whatever. I'm just saying that I feel like they're normally just picking, farm hands or, like plumbers, electricians. And then of course, and then I'll wrap up because I've been kind of monologuing here, but I have a huge problem with the mask, and I have a huge problem with the way that they interact with civilians. When you see some of the clips of these people like interacting with protesters, I think they're just like they get off on the fact that like they have power to do whatever they want without cause because they know at the end of the day, Kristi Noem, Tom Homan, and Trump are going to have their back, and they can. It's like the Wild West to these guys.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's kind of bad when the vice president says they have total immunity for any crime they commit while on the job.
He
It is
did
Just
say
that's
wild.
just
that. Okay, go ahead.
that's
What?
just absurd. I was gonna say that's just absurd. Like
They
just like
did.
police officers, there's a level of immunity you have as a law enforcement officer, and that you should have, frankly, because you're in a tough spot making really tough decisions. We're gonna hold you to a higher standard, but there is a certain level of immunity that you need.
Yeah,
But
there's a little wiggle room.
to say anyone has total immunity is just absurd.
Yeah,
To say
and
someone is beyond prosecution or other law enforcement, like behavioral enforcement, whatever, like that's just absurd. That's
well, and I think the problem I have with it too is that like they admitted like as soon as, and this is the first one, the woman who got shot. Her name is Renee Good. She was the one that was shot with the vehicle or in the vehicle, and
yeah.
regardless of what your feelings are from the video, like standard protocol is like the White House, Homeland Security would walk out to a press box and say, "Hey, we're going to investigate this. We're going to publish our findings to the public, and we're going to put the officer on leave, whatever." Instead, they didn't feel the need to do that. They just said, "No, like we have the back of our officer. This is completely innocent." They called her a domestic terrorist, like the vice president of the United. You know what I mean? Like that's insane. And I'm just like, what? What are we doing? you know? So I don't know. What do you guys think about any of that? Like, and
It
Well,
is.
so oh, go ahead, Nick.
I think it's a wild statement for the government to say that these people are domestic terrorists before their body is even cold. Like we knew nothing about the Renee Good thing at the time. We did not know anything about this recent shooting, and I'm talking within a few minutes of it happening, they are labeling him as domestic terrorist. That is a wild time we are living. It is.
So for me, like domestic terrorist is a very specific label, and it has a very specific meaning. Regardless of how these people are protesting, if it's in a non-violent manner, right? You're not a domestic terrorist. You're just exercising your First Amendment right. Like that's regardless of like whether you're blowing whistles or honking or even shouting obscenities at officers. Like there is a line there. So like I guess it's a crime to spit on an officer. Apparently,
Yeah, you
like so
can't. You can't.
there's clearly a line between like your free speech and what could indicate harm to an officer. Um, as far as Renee Good, like nothing she did should label her as a domestic terrorist. She did assault a police officer, like assault with a deadly weapon when you're trying to hit someone with your vehicle. That's what that is. I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
do
Um,
you think she was trying to like you think she was trying to kill the police officer, or do you think she was trying to flee?
so I'm not going to presume to know what was going through her head at the time. I mean, so we know she was there protesting ICE.
Sure.
We know that she was
Eh,
pretty verbally aggressive, I would say, just from the video that we've seen, and from people who saw it as well. Um, and then you speed your vehicle towards, so like at some point, they're telling her to get out of the vehicle, get out of the vehicle. Like she's gonna be arrested. At some point, your ability to exit a situation is no longer valid when you engage with law enforcement, right? So if I was to come up to an officer and I don't know, do everything but hit the guy, like just get in his face, yell at him, cuss at him, call him a piece of shit, whatever. And he's told me like, hey, you need to leave here. We're in the pursuit of our job. So like they're trying to investigate a bank robbery while I'm doing this, for instance. And I'm just in there shouting at him, shouting at him, shouting at him. Like at some point, that officer is gonna put me in cuffs, right? He's gonna take me out, or yeah, he's gonna take me out, put me in handcuffs, and say, hey, I'm gonna detain you for obstruction, right? And that's what these ICE officers were trying to do to Renee Good when she chose to try to flee police custody, right? So whether or not she tried to run over an officer intentionally, I couldn't say. But just trying to depart when that window has already closed, they were already saying, "Hey, get out of your vehicle. We're going to detain you." Um, it did end up assaulting a police officer with a deadly weapon. Like that's just what happened, right? Like you hit an officer with your car, whether
Well,
you were
listen,
trying to
I
escape or hurt the officer.
so
Like
if I'm looking at this through like a legal lens, and let's say I'm a prosecutor, I mean it's going to be pretty hard to get that cop for murder, right? Like in front of a jury, right? But whenever we're talking about like right and wrong, I mean that doesn't always match what's right legally, right? So I just feel uncomfortable with how comfortable most people are with the fact that this cop uh shot her in the fucking face at point blank range. Like,
so,
especially
I don't.
when it really didn't feel necessary. Really didn't.
not only
So
afterwards.
it doesn't feel necessary because you weren't the one getting hit with the car, right? Like that's my rebuttal to
So
that
here,
is like you weren't the one getting hit with the car, so of course it doesn't feel necessary to you.
But
Oh,
if that
he just ran over you, like it's fine.
right, but do we want to set
And
up do we want to
we also have the benefit of knowing that the cop was uninjured, right? So had the officer actually been injured, maybe the perspective on it would be a little different. So like if she'd actually run him over and he'd two broken femurs or a broken pelvis, would you then change your opinion and say, oh well, maybe shooting her to protect yourself is reasonable? And I think that's where a lot of people are coming from when they say like,
right, but
okay, this
why
was a good shoot.
yeah, but why are we going to a hypothetical here? Like you're having to go to a hypothetical, I feel like, to justify the morality of a shooting. Maybe not even the
Oh, no, no, no,
legality.
no, no. Oh, I'm not trying to go. I'm trying to put it in perspective, like, because we have the benefit of hindsight,
Darren
right?
did the same thing on our. We did a podcast over this a couple weeks ago. Darren did this too. He was like, "Well, just imagine a world where he was hit head on," and I was like, "Fucking why?" Like, I don't.
Yeah.
Right.
So here's the
Because
thing.
when that
Hey,
situation is happening, it's not a hypothetical for the person sitting in that situation, right? For the officer who's getting hit with the car, it's not hypothetical that well, I guess it kind of is. He could be seriously injured and he is going to
okay.
react, or even killed, and he's going to react in kind,
Okay.
right?
Okay. Hold on. I think there's some gaps in your statement, Garrett. First of all, this lady is in her neighborhood, right? Totally. Are you? I mean, are you not allowed to be in your neighborhood in your car?
No, you are definitely allowed to be in your neighborhood
And
in
then
your car.
and then she insults the ICE officer by saying, go get some lunch. I think she called him Tubby. He then proceeds to circle her car like a shark. All right. And then he did the one thing that anyone trained in law enforcement is trained not to do, which is stand in front of a vehicle just for safety reasons, right? And he's not really in front of the vehicle. He's off to the side, kind of by where the driver's side headlight is. You see her turn her wheel away from him. He then scoots to the left as she revs up her trying to, leave.
Right, to prevent her from leaving.
And then he does, which is not what they're trained to do, right? That's not what you're trained to do, is get in front of a vehicle, right? And then domes her. And then afterwards says, fucking bitch.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up at some point too. No
And
remorse for any of this. Like the
and
Yeah,
dude.
I
then
mean,
they didn't let
so
they
there's
didn't
no
let a
remorse.
doctor on scene help. A guy said, like, listen, I'm a doctor. Can I go help? They said no. They prevented a doctor from trying to administer first aid. They didn't know she was shot in the face.
Okay,
Um,
so that is absurd, right?
they
You shouldn't be able to prevent a doctor from giving medical care to anybody.
and
Well,
if, and if
just to, I mean, to be fair, it wouldn't have done him any good if they
Right,
would.
right.
But
So that's what, yeah,
we don't know that. You know what I mean?
and
right.
then
Nick said they didn't know that she was shot in the face, but the very act of
Right.
obstructing a medical officer, or not a medical officer, but a medical personnel to giving aid is absurd to
Right.
someone who's
yeah,
been shot, right? Like that's not okay. All right.
it's like
All I'm saying is if I'm the officer and I'm standing and she turns her wheel away and I get in front of her saying, no, you're not going anywhere, that option's already gone. And then you try to run through me, I'm going to shoot you too. That's all I'm saying is I would have shot her too.
why not
You're
just
going to
get out
try
of
to
the way?
run me over, I'm going to put two in your
Oh,
chest.
come
Like,
on. You
Why
wouldn't
not
have
just
just
get out of the way?
scooted. You wouldn't have scooted 2 feet to the, I guess it'd be the right.
if
He
you try
already
to run me over with your vehicle, no, absolutely not.
you
Why?
see
Why would I? Why
You
would
put
I?
yourself in
When
that
you're perfectly
situation.
willing to. Okay, all right. So let me
she
see if I can think of a hypothetical here that's
we
gonna.
don't need to think of a hypothetical. Stop with the hypotheticals.
No, no, okay, not a hypothetical, a simile, a metaphor to try to make this make sense to you guys.
No, no, no. I
Okay, all right.
understand.
So
Like the
if
dude.
I
Yeah.
came up to your vehicle with a baseball bat and was just not gonna let you leave, was just not gonna. I don't know. It's difficult for me to say.
Yeah, then I try to leave and you jump in front of my car. It's your fault if you prevented
Right,
me
but
from
that's
leaving.
Right, because
right.
here's
But
the
that's
thing.
that's
Don't you
not
remember,
that's not
like,
a law enforcement officer, right?
when
Like we have to
BLM
empower
was
these officers to detain people. Like it's
What
part
what
of their
happened to
job.
holding these guys to a higher standard?
We are. Like I'm not saying they shouldn't be held to a higher
He's
standard.
not
That's
being
why I'm on
investigated.
board with saying, hey, no, you cannot prevent a medical personnel from checking out this individual and giving aid.
okay, but with respect, is that really holding them to a higher standard? For God's sakes, the civilian offered medical help. You know what I mean? Like that's
I mean,
um,
I
it,
mean, not just. Sorry,
it,
what?
I just don't know. Like, I think we have different opinions about, like, when we're saying hold these people to a higher standard. I don't think you and I, or maybe even me and Nick, don't mean the same thing. Because whenever I think about a higher standard, I'm talking about like I'm seeing a significant amount of behavior that I do not find acceptable. And the reason that that behavior is happening is because it's being allowed by the higher ups. I
Okay.
promise
So
you.
here's a question for you. Would you be okay? Were you okay with the Uvalde shooting and how the police officers behaved?
No.
No.
Yeah, no.
Why? Illuminate me as to why you are not okay with it.
because I feel like they not only betrayed their badge in the sense that like the whole reason the police department exists is that when shit like that happens, you're gonna be the guy that has to go kicking down doors and try and save your fellow citizens. That's what I
Right.
think.
You are expected. So to refresh everybody's memory, Uvalde was a school shooting that happened in New Mexico, I think. May have been Texas.
Texas, Texas.
Yeah, it may have been Texas. Uvalde was a school shooting that took place. The officers waited outside basically until the shooter took his own life. They refused to enter the school. They refused to let armed civilians enter the school to rescue their kids. It was a total shit show, and the people involved, who were just utter cowards, in my opinion, need to be at least in jail forever. Um, we expect law enforcement officers to risk their lives in the pursuit of law enforcement, right? One of those laws they are enforcing is obstruction of justice, right? You cannot get in the way of a on-duty officer performing his job, right?
Okay, well then let me just
So you would
go ahead.
expect an officer to detain a fleeing subject, right? So if an officer was sitting outside a convenience store and he sees an armed robbery go on, you would expect the officer to risk his life in the attempted detention of that robber, correct?
Yeah, sure, right.
Right. Okay. So this woman is obstructing justice. She is already, the window has closed for her to exit peacefully. She is already, in ICE's mind at least, determined that she is belligerent to the point of obstruction. She is obstructing their duty. She is going to be detained, right? She then attempts to flee the lawful enforcement of obstruction of justice. And in fleeing, in the prevention of her fleeing, she then charges an officer with her car, which is assault with a deadly weapon.
The
So I have
Right, you're
we are in
saying you should have
total
just let her go because
we
she
are
didn't do anything
listen
besides obstruct justice.
we are in
Right, like
total
that's
disagreement on like just because. And listen, I said it earlier on the pod. I don't know if either one of you listened to the Renee Good podcast, but like I said, listen, she's no angel. She committed mistakes here too. I would not recommend fleeing a scene from ICE agents when they're trying to detain you, especially with a vehicle. But having said that, I don't think that that's a death sentence. I don't think a masked man on behalf of the state is allowed to
she
shoot
made it.
you in the fucking face at point
She
blank
made
range.
it a death sentence when she attacked that officer with her car.
I don't think she attacked the
She
officer.
That
I think
is
she panicked.
she in the
how.
pursuit of
Come
leaving the
on.
scene to prevent being detained,
I
she hit an officer with her car.
oh
That is
she
assault with a deadly weapon.
I've been hit by forklifts harder than that guy was bumped. Okay, let's be honest. She was a citizen. She had ICE agents surrounding a car. She panicked. She panicked
I just don't know that
Why
we
did she
can.
panic? Why did she panic, Nick? Why
because a
did she
bunch of
panic?
masked men surrounded her car. Garrett, would you not also panic if a bunch
Okay,
of masked
I'm,
men
I'm also
surrounded
I'm
your
also
car?
pretty
And the
I'm
panic
also pretty
was
tired of this
justified.
fucking. I'm also pretty I'm pretty tired of this mask thing. The reason ICE agents are in masks are because people are doxing their families and their families are
Really,
getting targeted.
really,
Okay?
really. So they've been masked.
If in my day job somebody threatens to dox me and not only kill me but kill me and my 3 kids, you goddamn right I'm gonna wear a freaking mask.
Garrett, they've been wearing
Yes.
masks since day one. The only
Well, what
doxing
about
we've had is
No, they
recently.
haven't.
Yes.
so
No.
wait, so we have to worry about these ICE officers because they are getting doxxed and that might, put their families at risk. But that woman signed her own fucking death certificate when she
When
drove
she
a
ass-
car.
when
When
she
she
drove a car
panicked.
into an officer. That is
Who
assault with a
who
deadly
jumped
weapon. I'm
in
not
front of
even
the
have to
car?
say it.
If I
If you hit a pedestrian
Now
with
wait a
your car,
minute. Now wait a
Garrett,
minute. Does
if
it
a
does it change? Hold on, Nick. Does it change your calculation with the fact that the ICE officer went against his training and against like what they are like taught to do by putting himself in a position in front of the car? So he put himself in a position that is not in line with their teaching, not in line with their code, right? And that put him in unnecessary risk. And so
so
when
that
she
did put him in
flee,
unnecessary risk, and that if it's
so did
against
that
what they're
sign?
trained to
So did
do.
that sign his death certificate? Or did that just give him the opportunity to let this woman sign her own?
So if an officer, in an attempt to stop the bank robber, pulls his taser instead of his gun, and he's trained to pull his gun, does that mean it's okay for the robber to shoot him?
I don't know. I don't.
Yeah,
I don't even know
no.
what you're
The answer is
saying.
Stop with
obviously
the
fucking no.
hypotheticals.
Like,
Stop
Yeah,
with the
it's
hypotheticals.
not a hypothetical. I'm putting it in a different scenario to
That's
where the
fucking
answer is
stupid.
clear and obvious to
Yeah,
make it to where
yeah, but you're not
like
making any goddamn
the
sense.
answer is clear. Like, no,
Okay.
he shouldn't have stepped in front of her car. That does not give this woman the right to hit him with her fucking
okay,
vehicle.
but time out,
Like
time out.
that's
And Nick, I promise I'm going to give you a second here. But so you're telling me that like just because he messed up, that does not give him that does not give her the right to try and kill him with a car. But when she messes up, and remember, she's the civilian that is not trained. When she messes up, it is not the cop's responsibility to, evade the scene, do whatever. It is then his responsibility, and he's totally justified with killing a civilian.
so okay. So let's break down what's actually happening here. What is the risk to her? Let's say she doesn't speed off. What
Her
is
life,
probably
her
going to
life.
happen? She doesn't. So they're going to pull her out of the car and just put a bullet in her, right? Is that what you're saying?
Potential.
Or they're going to pull
That is.
her out of
Well,
the car and
she may have
detain
not
her.
even gotten out of the car. She may have not even made. I mean, she did. She literally didn't.
Mary and Joseph. That's absurd.
I got a question,
The
Garrett.
risk to her had she just one not been there at all, which is fine. Like you want to exercise your First Amendment right, by all means.
It's her neighborhood. She was in her neighborhood.
Yeah.
She was leaving her neighborhood. What are you
just
fucking talking about?
yeah. You're not allowed to engage in your community. Especially when Big Brother
The
is
officers.
like.
So what should she have done when the officers said, "Get out of the car. We're going to detain you."
Oh, I'll tell you, she should have complied.
Yeah.
Okay. So what was the risk had she complied? Had she done what the officer said? Are you saying that they were just going to pull her out of her car
Potentially
and shoot
death.
her?
There is potential for that. Yes.
That's ridiculous. That's
Especially with hindsight, with how the recent shooting, yeah, they might have just popped her.
Well,
that's
yeah.
At least
That
roughed
is.
her
Yep.
up.
that is y'all going to get onto me for hypotheticals. That is absurd.
It's not a
That is
hypothetical.
absurd to
What do you
say.
mean? It was your hypothetical. I just answered the question. But anyway,
Hold on, hold on. I got a question.
Well, you may just okay, but we'll wrap up Renee Good. I don't want this to be the monopoly of the conversation, but ultimately I'll get on to like what we think about we should do for ICE going forward. But anyway, Nick, go ahead.
Okay, so Garrett, you are in favor of holding these agents to a higher standard, yes?
Yes.
Sure,
Would
and I
you
think
say
we
that
all
at
are,
least-
by the way. I think we
Yeah,
all are,
yeah.
right?
Oh, absolutely. Would you say at the very least they need to investigate the ICE officer who shot this woman?
Oh yeah, 100%. Any
Okay.
any police shooting or law enforcement shooting needs to have a full investigation.
How do you
Just because
feel?
anytime you like remove the right to a trial by jury from somebody, which is what happens when you kill them, like they have a right to an investigation and to see if that was a lawful pursuit of justice, right?
Okay.
Like that.
Good, good. How do you feel about the Trump administration saying we are not going to investigate the ICE officer? Instead, we are going to investigate the widow of the woman we killed.
I mean, so one, that's absurd. Again, every good shoot, bad shoot, whatever, every shoot where you end a person's life as a law enforcement agent needs an investigation. Right off the bat, that's absurd.
I know it's absurd. It's three.
So investigating the wife, wasn't that for like the GoFundMe that she started?
But yeah, they shot her wife. Would you not need a GoFundMe? They have a child. They have, I think, 2 children now. But
on what grounds are they? On what grounds are they going after the wife? I guess so. It seems really, really silly to be going after the widow.
I think you're missing the point. The point here is that they openly
Well, no, I'm
said,
trying to decide. If there's a valid reason,
hold on, right? The point Nick I think is trying to make is that like we're not going to invest where a person died, but we might investigate their widow of the person we killed because XYZ. Like, doesn't that seem like okay? So something is wrong in this calculation. Like somebody's life is over, right? For doing what I would regard as like their civic duty, like protesting. Like that's
right.
You think your
running
government's
over
doing
cops. Running over cops is definitely a civic duty.
No.
I just want to make sure we're on the record.
Okay, no. Well, that's not what I said, and I think you know that. I think that's crazy. And this idea that the cop was ran over after you admitted yourself, you were the one that said this cop had no injuries.
Yeah,
right?
Walked away.
So he was run over. Maybe he's fucking Superman, right? I mean, who knows, right? And she wasn't trying to. Again, your own admission, right? She wasn't trying to. She was trying to flee the scene.
Well, no, I said I would not pretend to know what's going through her head.
All right. Well,
Yeah,
regardless.
I often turn the wheel opposite the guy I'm trying to run over. That's off. That I do that
Right, but
often.
then you guys said that he got in front of her and she still
Yeah,
sped forward, right?
yeah.
So it's either an attempt to escape or it's
Oh
like
well,
honestly, I'm probably gonna say it was an attempted
well,
escape.
let's be honest. She was
But
on ice, so she revs her. She turns the wheel away. She tries to leave. Right, tries to flee. It's ice. Tires don't have traction. When it finally gets traction, the ice agent it jumps in front of her car instead of jumping out of the way. He then kills her.
right, so again, at some point the window to leave is closed, right? They've asked you to leave. They say, "Hey, you can't be here. You can't be getting in our
You cannot
way."
be in your
And
driveway.
it's
I swear
not
to God,
until
you
they're
can't be
actually
in your
going to
driveway.
arrest her that she decides, once that window is closed, she decides, okay, now I want option A. And option A is gone. Option A is off the table, right? Like you can't know. You were
He's
going to be
No,
detained.
no, no, no. Sure, sure,
And
sure. Listen, I'll.
instead,
yeah.
she turns her wheel, revs her engine, the cop is still in front of her, and she drives
No,
forward
no,
anyway.
no, 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 no. This is
That's what you
clear. This
said
is
happened.
clear. This is clear information I think you're missing. The cop is off to the side. He is not in front of the vehicle. She revs it. She turns the wheel. She revs it. He
And
then
he steps in
jumps
front
in
of her.
front of the vehicle. Right?
And
That
then
is
she
something he is
accelerates.
not trained to do. Draws his weapon, jumps in front of her. When she
And
finally
then
gets
she
traction,
still charges him with the vehicle, correct?
I don't think it's
What
charging
is
with the vehicle. That's a citizen panicking
what
because
is
you have
the
ICE agents surrounding you. Like she has mass people
Because of your own, they
surrounding.
told you they were going to detain you.
what is the urge to defend
Why didn't
this?
why didn't
It's
they
an
open the
urge to
door then? Why
defend
did
law enforcement. That's all it is.
they? If
Even
they
when
wanted
they
to
mess
detain,
Like
up,
people, huh?
even
hold
when
on,
they
hold on.
mess up.
I don't know that it's if somebody charges me with a vehicle, I'm
Yeah.
going to shoot them too.
Hey Garrett, I have a
Like I
question.
don't.
Garrett, question. If they really wanted to detain her, why did they never once attempt to open the door?
They did. No,
Not
no, no.
once.
They did. They definitely. It was locked. No, no, no. The door was locked.
Did they?
No,
Okay,
so
that's all. That's all
maybe
me.
maybe choke on it just a little bit, but I
Um,
didn't know that. Thank you, Wyatt. I appreciate your honesty.
I
no,
honestly
no, no.
thought
They,
they
they,
did.
they. No, no, no. Like, well, you can see it in the video. You know what I mean? Like the guy's trying to open the door on the handle, and it's definitely locked.
My
Well,
bad.
they're trying to pull her out of the car, but they just can't. She's trying to get the fuck out. You know, but
No panic.
okay. So I understand, and Darren made this similar point too. You know, he was like, "Listen, like the cop fucked up, but ultimately, I believe in ICE and law enforcement. So like, even when they fuck up, I'm gonna defend them, even when it's wrong." And I'm like, I don't get that. You know, I think the only real difference is that like between like that and this is like Darren was able to be like, yeah, he fucked up too. He shouldn't have killed her. But even though he did, I'm still gonna defend her. Versus like what I'm seeing is people are just gonna
So
like make believe that this was completely fine to kill this person. And I'm just like,
so again, my reasoning I don't feel like is make believe. It is I'm putting myself in that officer's shoes. He woke up, he had a job to do, whatever reason that job took him into the neighborhood. He, whether it was protocol or not, stepped in front of the vehicle, presumably to prevent her from stepping out or getting away, because now they were trying to arrest her for obstruction or at least detain her. And then this lady runs her car into him. Like, if I'm that officer, I have a family at home, I am going to shoot you. That's my perspective. If I'm
Yeah.
in that officer's shoes, I am going to shoot you. And now, again, 100% there needs to be an investigation. If they want to say, like, hey, that is not protocol, you put yourself at unnecessary risk, and it resulted in you having to use lethal force against a civilian to protect yourself, and you're going to be fired. Like, that's fine. If they decide that he deserves jail time after an investigation, I'm also fine with that. Like, I'm just saying,
wait,
if
wait,
I'm
wait.
in
But
that
then
office,
would if they did that and they decided that he needed to be fired and that he needed to go to jail, would you still say it was a justified shooting? Because when Chauvin killed George Floyd and he was found guilty, you still said that they got the trial wrong, right? So like, would that be enough to sway you in this scenario if they go through the whole process?
honestly, probably not. Because again, if I'm in that officer's shoes, like I'm doing the same thing.
Okay, so
Like,
what if Renee Good was your daughter? You keep putting yourself in the shoes of the officer. Let's say Renee Good, because you know none of us
Or
here are
your
women.
wife.
None of us here are women. Yeah, or like say Renee Good is your wife or your daughter. Would you say that like a police officer was justified in murdering her point blank range in the face?
so a lot of that would have changed. Like, so if it was my wife, I would have like insisted that she not be out antagonizing police officers.
Sure, but like we said,
Um,
that's option A. Option A is closed. She's already there. She's already antagonist. She's trying to flee the scene.
yeah, I mean, so I'm going to be devastated, and I'm probably going to want charges pressed. Like, I mean, just for I loved my wife. I don't know this officer. It feels unfair. Like, just the state of mourning. Like, would I 50 years from now retroact? I mean, probably not. I would probably be bitter. I've lost a loved one, right? Like, that's just the truth of the matter. Like, regardless of whether or not it was a good shoot, bad shoot, whatever. You know, if my son gets caught, robbing a convenience store, God forbid, one day, and an officer shoots him, I'm going to be devastated. Like I'm gonna that was my
Sure.
son.
No, no,
Like,
for sure. But
and that's
I think we're trying to call balls and strikes here. And so like here, let me give you an example. So like let's say I have a son. I don't have a son for the audience. Let's say I have a son and he robs a convenience store. He pulls a gun on a cop. No ambiguity about it. The cop fucking guns him down. I would be devastated too, and I'm sure we all would, right? But the thing is I would be like the cop made the right move. He pulled a gun on him for God's sake. You know what I mean? Um, but like in this case, like if that was my wife or that was my daughter, I would be like, what the fuck, dude? Like there was no need to pull a fucking gun. Like just come back later. You have her plate. Like they have her information. They can come get her. They can issue an arrest warrant with local
Mm.
authorities. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. So I actually hadn't thought of that alternative, right? Like, so you have this woman on camera, you have her plate, you presume if it's her neighborhood, you have her fucking address.
right, yeah,
Like,
she lives
okay,
right there.
fine.
You know?
Like, fine, we don't have to get you right now. Um, yeah, that's a decent point. I
And
mean, so
then
I don't know that it changes the fact that she still hit a, you know, ICE
now,
officer with a car, but like it definitely goes to like the guy just should have let her go. Like, okay, you're not here to enforce the law on her. She's just a protester. She's gonna leave and then come back, presumably.
Yeah. I,
yeah,
I,
how
I
do you
would
feel
call
about
that progress. I would call that
yeah,
progress.
Well, so to your credit, that is genuinely something I just did not consider. Was
yeah,
like, and y'all mentioned multiple times it was in her fucking neighborhood.
yeah,
Like, you've got her on camera, you've got her wife on camera,
Yeah,
you've
her
got her
wife is
license.
still there, you know.
yeah,
Like it's,
wife watch.
Like,
I mean, how would you
and
feel?
what?
Like
So,
this?
like, honestly, what's the worst case? You've let somebody run off who's just a shit talker, right? Like,
no, and I get why the cop was pissed. Like I, you
Yeah,
know,
she called him fat.
um,
right. But again, going to that higher standard now that so give me a Nick, say something while I give this a second thought real quick because I might
So,
have a change of opinion here.
okay, and then
so
and then and then once we're done with this, we got to get off Renee Good.
yeah. So not only that, well, we'll go keep going with the hypothetical. This is your wife or daughter. Not only are they do the guy does not only does this administration say they're not going to investigate the ICE agent, but instead they're going to investigate you for whatever reason they have claimed. I cannot remember what the administration has claimed, and then the vice president, not only that, calls your wife before she's even cold a domestic terrorist. And then says ICE agents have total immunity for anything they do while in the line of duty. That to me is crazy. Like if I don't know what I would go through my mind at that time.
Okay, so I'm just to answer kind of this part is again I'm really I don't care about like before she's even cold. Frankly, the timing has means very little to me. Labeling her as a domestic terrorist is absolutely absurd, and label and saying that ICE has absolute immunity is equally absurd. Right? Domestic terrorist is something that has a very specific meaning, right, and is a death sentence. Right? Domestic terrorism is a death sentence, right? Like if you're convicted of it, you're going to hang. Or I mean, if you're they might leave you in jail forever, right? Given that they could have come back and arrested her at a different time, they didn't need to like it, and it was just an obstruction charge. Like she wasn't the actual criminal, right? So she is a U.S. citizen. She's coming here exercising her First Amendment right to protest. She's shit talking, whatever she's doing to piss you off, and that's what I'm meaning by a higher standard. Is like so you shit talk me like that just on the street, you might get popped in the mouth, right? But I'm not an officer, right? And I'm definitely not going to pull my firearm and shoot you for it. Um, because they need to be held to a higher standard. 100%, again, there needs to be an investigation into this. And just because you're riled up from verbiage does not mean that you get to make stupid decisions. I think stepping in front of the vehicle still though is in an attempt to make her to prevent her from fleeing. I think that's reasonable. Um, Pulling your gun and shooting her dead, like that's still rough. Like I still think it's assault with a deadly weapon, but again, presumably you
Well,
still could have come back and gotten her, right? So let's say the officer was legitimately run over, right? Like he's going to die, right? That is what we expect of law enforcement, to make good decisions under pressure and maybe pay their life for it, right?
right,
Like the
right.
distinct
Yeah,
possibility. And then you're going to come back and you're going to charge that woman with murder, right? Like so now it's not just an obstruction charge.
the federal
It's
crime. It's
it's a
federal
federal
murder.
crime, right? And I don't think would anybody oppose had that happened in this hypothetical, would anybody be opposed to her being arrested for murder?
No,
No.
no.
Okay.
If you would have
So
ran an ICE officer over,
I'm
yeah,
gonna say
absolutely.
that I'm gonna say like finally on Renee Good, this guy needs to be I don't know. So
Held
really with
accountable?
law enforcement officers, because of the nature of their position and their decision make, like how quickly they have to make decisions, I would be comfortable with a manslaughter charge, and he probably needs to be convicted, frankly.
Well, there you go.
Um,
Yeah. See, this
Yeah,
is great progress
so
because I think we
murder,
went.
murder, murder is a weird thing for me with law enforcement officers because like I think you have to wake up with the intent to hurt somebody to do it. Um, but yeah, he one, there definitely needs to be an investigation. No, I don't think he did everything correctly, especially if you're telling me it's against policy, like verbatim, it's against policy for them to stand in front of vehicles. Two,
That's
there
just
was or
all.
three,
That's
there
just
were
all law enforcement. Like no,
right, and then
you know.
like there's so many alternatives to come back and get her later. Like she is not like a clear and present danger.
Well, and I and
You
I
should have
and
just stepped out of the way of her car and let her go.
and, and
Like,
I
hey,
and I definitely, I don't feel like we brought this up enough, but he did say after he shot her, like, bam, 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 right? He said, fucking bitch. That's like an exact quote.
right.
And
And see that again goes to like you let your emotions get the better of you.
yeah. And so, like,
Right.
so we're
Like so
talking about that. This is a good segue into that next subject about like holding these guys to a higher standard, right? So, like, and we talk about this a lot in the church too, right? Where it's like, we got to hold the priest to a higher standards. And that means whenever they fuck up, that's not like if you or I fuck up, right? Where if you and I fuck
right.
up, it's almost forgivable and extremely redeemable. When a priest fucks up, the hammer has to come down. We have to let it be known because that this shit is not. For example, like Catholic priests molesting kids, they were
Right.
way too soft on that. And whenever you're soft on that, on the accountability, it becomes an acceptable form of behavior because they know they can get away with it. And the worst that's going to happen is they're going to have to deal with some bad press, you know? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. No, 100%.
and so, like, this is the feedback I'm getting. The reason these agents are acting like this now, and they weren't acting like this even in Trump 1.0, but even in Obama and even under Bush when they were founded, the reason that they're acting like this now is because the shit is acceptable from the people at the top now. I
So
mean,
I would also like just on that same thread, I would also like to mention that a lot of these new ICE officers I mean, they were recruiting just people off the streets. Like, I don't know if you remember, but after President Trump took office, like there were ads everywhere for just people off the
It,
street to come be an ICE officer. Like, quit your
it,
day job, be an ICE enforcement officer, and make, what, I don't know, 75 grand a year. Like,
and I don't know how much either of y'all know this, but there was like a doxing, a pretty big one about the ICE agents, like who they are and all that. Um, a big chunk of them were former January 6 people and a bunch of Proud Boy members. Now, do we all know who the Proud Boys are?
well, so that brings into question how much vetting was, which kind of was the beginning of my statement, was like, how much vetting did you do on these officers? Right. So
well,
it's
and what do you think the consequences are of that, Gary? As someone, and Nick, I think you're more pro ice than I am. It's safe to say, but like when there's a lack of vetting, and there's this type of behavior, what do you think happens to ice? Do you think that like it hurts them?
Oh
Oh,
yeah, 100%.
oh yeah.
Yeah, it's just the same thing that happens with police officers. Like you get a bad egg, you didn't vet them properly, whatever the reason is. Like it reflects on the entirety of the enforcement branch, right? Like
For sure,
Yeah.
because like
it
and it
definitely
is
doesn't service them in any good way.
yeah, no, for sure, and I guess I don't know how we fix that because, like I said in the beginning, and this I didn't say it at the beginning to set up what I'm saying now. It just is a coincidence, but like this is Trump's number one political winner. That he could go to any press conference and any banner or whatever, and he can say like, "Hey, we're kicking ass on deportations and like border security," and everyone just kind of has to be like, "Oh, he's kind of right," you know.
Yep.
Right.
Um, so
Obviously.
Border,
why would
as
he?
far as like the distinction you made at the beginning, like border
Yeah,
security is a virtual non-issue now. Like
It
nobody
is.
talks
yeah,
about it anymore because
It
it's
is the.
so fucking resolved. Like,
It
right,
is. It's the easiest softball form. It's just a home run anytime he can just mention it.
right. So why would he, if these are the results and he has to deal with bad press? I mean, Trump's no stranger to bad press. Why would we expect him to correct this behavior, or like
yeah,
that's the thing. And like I said, I'm not somebody who's like an abolish ICE guy, but you're I mean they're losing me, right? I would rather, like, if this is what ICE is going to look like going forward, I would rather just abolish it. We have to start a new thing with a new three-letter word, like like this is no good anymore. Like we have to start from scratch because like this is not acceptable.
so I don't think it has to be that drastic. Like how to resolve it. Like you could come in and quietly cut jobs, right? So like
I
you
don't.
could come
I
in
don't. I don't
and
think you can do it
anyone
quietly.
who's had like a less than like I don't know, I don't even know what the reporting looks like. But if you've had like a less than ideal image and you've come to ICE, you need to be removed. Like I said, you need to start cutting back because not everybody who joined up with ICE is a bad person, right? Like they're not all going to make that. And it's tough to even say because even good people can make bad decisions when under that kind of pressure, right? Like once the bullets start firing, you don't know who needs brown pants and who doesn't.
You know who I really feel bad for is the ICE agents before this administration who were doing just they were doing great, doing and then they have to deal with these lunatics, just treating this like it's the wild wild west,
Right.
and it's like it's tarnishing their reputation. If someone who's been doing this 15 years, perfect records, like well now everyone's looking at me like I'm the bad guy because we didn't vet who we were hiring. We were just hiring any Joe Schmo off the street,
Right.
and it's like
And so I'm not saying that they had no vetting process. Personally, I have no idea what their vetting process was when they took on all these new hires. I have to imagine, though, with the speed at which they got people armed and out on the streets, that it was minimal,
Well,
right?
I
considering
don't even think they do background checks. There's
well
a whole
they
story about a
can't because these Proud Boys are still convicted felons.
yeah,
Like
because there was a big story about a girl who just applied to be an ICE agent. There was no background checks, and she was accepted. It was a whole deal a couple weeks ago.
Yeah. So to be any kind of law enforcement officer, especially armed, right? Like
Yeah, if you're
you
gonna
have
carry a
to,
gun,
yeah, you have to have a background check. That's absurd.
I guess.
Which I guess means like I guess one of the solutions would be just start backgrounding check like retroactively background checking all these people and being like, hey, these people got to go.
No,
Like, sorry.
honestly, like I'm at the point, dude. I want to see whoever, because it won't be Trump. Trump, uh, and not to call out your boy Garrett, but like, well, I guess Nick, you voted for him too, but like, not to call him
yeah,
out too much. But he's not firing these fucks. He's not retro. It's gonna have to be a Democrat if a Democrat wins in 28 or 32. Like it, and I would just fire them all. Like, and then just have them reapply, and we'll rehire the good ones, and we'll keep their tenure or whatever. Because there's so many bad apples at this point. And whenever you're talking about a culture, I think if you're having to, and the reason I'm a big culture guy, like as somebody who works in the business world, like I know how effective it is whenever like you have a list of behavior that has become acceptable, even like when it really shouldn't be. And it's so
Right.
hard to rework that one at a time. I think it's just easier and more efficient to just hard reset it. And that could just be a business mind, but you know,
So, I mean, one thing I will say about Trump is that he responds to public scrutiny pretty well. So like the tariffs were pretty badly viewed, and he got rid of them. Like I would say, like if enough public opinion comes out and says like, hey, even your base is starting to be like, hey, bro, you gotta do something, then he
well,
will do something. Now,
why
what that
why
something is, I don't know, but
why would he? It's his last term in president. I think as
well,
president,
because
why
he's
would he?
because he's an egomaniac. Like because he's an egomaniac and he wants to have the highest approval ratings
Yeah,
in
and
history. He's the
and
most popular president ever.
right, and
Yeah,
Like,
he'll just
I
state that.
agree. I agree. Like the dude wants to be loved. He wants to be lionized. But here's the thing, dude. Like, I mean, you saw all the hoops we had to jump through to get you to just get to the point where it's like, it's 50-50, or maybe he shouldn't have shot her, right? Um, do you think most Americans, specifically like Republicans, that are like, let's just say they're coded to side with the law enforcement here, right? Do you think that they're even like interested in having the dialogue that we had? Because I don't really see that. I just see like people that are honestly way too excited to defend this.
I mean, so really finding anyone who wants to have an actual dialogue like this is pretty hard in today's environment. People are so just they're so in it for one team or the other at this point. Like they're so into their priors that you can't get them to see, daylight. Um, so no, to answer your question, no, I don't see a whole lot of people having this conversation. I think a lot of people, because just by the nature of the incident, the officer is still alive, right? A lot of people are putting them in his and putting themselves in his shoes. And really all it takes is someone's like, okay, what if that would have been your daughter? And then and there is some like other discussion that we had on like, as in our neighborhood, things that all kind of came together, right? Um, over a probably 30-45 minute discourse.
Right.
Getting anyone to sit down for a 30 to 45 minute discourse is just absurd these days. Like, and frankly, 99% of the time, you're still going to come away with having banged your head against a brick wall because they don't really care. They don't really want to. They don't want to hear new information. They want to hear confirmation or nothing, right? Like,
Right.
I
I mean,
don't
we
think.
we ran into that on the Epstein files for what felt like forever, and then people were like, "Okay, we're finally getting fucked here. Like, we can't deny it anymore." You know what I mean? Like, it sometimes I think it just takes a while. You know?
Yeah, and for sure. Like people, I don't know, especially when you're unaffected by it, right? Like, so again, Minnesota for where we live, that's a faraway place.
Yeah,
Like,
and it wasn't our wife. It wasn't our cousin. You know? Like,
right.
yeah.
And then the officer wasn't our brother or like, whatever.
Right.
Because like if the officer was one of you guys and you're like, man, I just, I'm sure he's gonna come back and say, well, I had to fucking shoot her, or you're gonna say feel like you felt entitled to shoot her, which is goes to the whole mindset fuckery thing. Like, no, you are not entitled to shoot somebody as an officer. But anyway,
Yeah, and I think just tribalism in general, and this is not even necessarily about immigration, just politics in general. But Christopher Hitchens has a really famous quote, even though he's dead now.
As the great physicist Steven Weinberger has very aptly put it, in the ordinary moral universe, the good will do the best they can, the worst will do the worst they can. But if you want to make good people do wicked things, you'll need religion.
I would add a little modifier to that is that like politics is right in that same camp. Like whenever you're so
right.
much on Team Democrat or you're so much on Team Republican, like you will say and do things that like I think if we were all like had truth serum, we would be like, okay, maybe that was fucked up. Maybe I don't really believe this. You know what I mean? Like, or maybe I
Right.
don't think this was right. But
Well, so I guess just like the audience, I would just encourage everybody to like sit down and have these discussions with people and then really have the discussion with yourself. So like I said, I'm uninformed, I'm out of the loop. But like if you sit down and you just reason it out to yourself, I think a lot of people would get it pretty quickly. It's just a matter of like who sets the time aside, right? Like you read the headline, you think that's the headline, you move the fuck on. Like
yeah, and I think
actually,
I think
go ahead,
just
go ahead.
I think just being open to like, because not
Being involved.
everyone. Yeah, exactly. Like, hey, like I would almost put a confidence bar, like an imaginary one in your head, next to basically every single issue. Like, and then that could be politics, that could be sports, that could be work, right? It's like I don't know much about this. So if somebody tries to correct me on this, then maybe they're right, or like, hey, I know my shit when it comes to this. So I know that like this is how it actually works or this is how it happened, whatever, right? I just think that honestly being more open-minded would help us out a lot. And like you got to remove a lot of ego to do that. And
Mhm.
that's God,
Yeah,
that's hard for everybody. Nick, go ahead.
you got to get out of those echo chambers. You got to start talking to other people on the aisle. That's a big thing,
Well,
especially in
and so
today's
that's
time.
I don't think people realize how difficult that is though nowadays. So like
Oh, yeah.
your social media feeds are filtered to what you like or comment on. Like so I by the virtue of just having you guys as brothers get alternate perspectives all the time because we very seldomly agree verbatim on everything. Like so but a lot of people don't have that, right? Like
Yeah, you need to be challenged on what you believe pretty consistently. At least that's my opinion. Because if you're just in a room full of yes men, that's how you get these people who, no matter
Or
what happens or nothing, they're just gonna stick to what they believe.
yeah, and I think just being open to other things. So like, I'll pick on you two a little bit. So like Garrett, your number one position is obviously like being pro-life. Nick, your number one position like in this last election was like the overtime tax or really like lowering taxes for like working like people like you, right?
Mhm.
So like everything else is obviously like secondary or tertiary to that. So like maybe just like okay, like you both voted Republican, but maybe we can still call out the other areas where like Republicans fall short. You know what I mean? Like,
what
or
yeah.
like I'm a Democrat, right? Like my number one issue is like balancing the budget or like fixing the economy. But like I could probably do without like the BLM protests. Just to be honest with you, and the audience has probably heard me say that too much. But I'm like the worst guy for that type because I could care fuck less. You know what I mean? Like. Sure. Yeah. So basically, oh shoot, I had the guy's name written down, but I deleted it.
It's like Alex something.
Hereta or something. Anyway,
Yeah.
the guy's name we'll find out at some point later. But yeah, so and there's a lot of film. This is still developing. Everyone keep in mind we're recording a week from whenever this uploads, so a lot can change. So let's grain of salt this. But basically, the moral of the story is that this guy is engaging in a protest with a group of other people, and then the protest begets confrontational. So ICE interacts with another woman, pushes her onto the sidewalk. It's some lady. He steps in, tries to like give like space between the woman and the ICE agent. The ICE agent then like sprays a chemical agent. It's like pepper spray or bear spray or something, mace, and eventually they tussle with like 7 or 8 ICE officers, and somebody notices that this man has a gun. Somebody screams gun, and then bang, 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 and then he's dead. So that's like the short. I can't show the clip because it's a man dying, but it looks rough. It
Yeah.
looks rough.
Okay, so what we know of, the guy was carrying a gun. It's legal. He had a
I
concealed
fucking
carry permit.
said that.
But hold on, this is the point. I think where you missed is the fact that one of the ICE agents, before they shot him, took his gun away.
Oh, well, the
He-
reason I left that out is because, like, I'm going to be honest. If there's any gray area, I'm going to leave it gray because, let's say, a week from now, we find out that that was his gun. I would wait, if I were you, before you say that because
Okay,
It's
okay.
difficult to tell in the
the
video.
the
Like it's difficult to tell.
DOJ has not confirmed that that was his gun. Like we are relying on
Well,
an image
so-
that is zoomed in and grainy. I would call this a low confidence that is, you know what I mean?
I don't know if I would call it a low confidence. The ICE agent walks up, nothing in his hands, leaves with a gun after reaching towards the guy that the 6 ICE officers are wrestling with. And it looks like the exact same gun as the administration posted about. It's the same color. It's got the same sight on it.
Well, listen.
The odds of this guy having the same gun as the guy that got shot, I don't know the odds of it.
Well, listen.
Same
Okay,
exact.
so
Go ahead,
acknowledged ambiguity aside, right? So
Either way.
Nick's confident in what he saw. It is it's not a grainy video. It's a very fast-paced video, especially when you get to that point of the interaction.
E-
I'm gonna leave room for, he did take it then, he didn't take it then, if that's his firearm, whatever.
Well,
So
hold on, Nick. Hold on. I'll be honest. It doesn't really impact my analysis whatsoever because, like, the dude. I mean, he's licensed to carry it. He had a permit for concealed carry. Like, I know you guys are believers in the Second Amendment more than I am, so I'll not soapbox you there. But he was lawfully concealing the gun. I don't have a problem. Like, just because you have a gun on you, that's not a death sentence, right?
So
And
Right,
as
well,
long
it's
as
not
as
even
long
fun.
as he didn't pull it and
can I give my reasoning why I think they
Sure.
definitely took his gun? So
Well, then
after the
just be sure to explain why it's important, though.
Yeah, okay. So after they, shoot him, they start searching him for the gun, right? The ICE officer then says twice, "Where's his gun? Where's his gun?" And then the same guy in the previous video says, "I have it."
Well, so I
That is
didn't
on
see that
footage.
part of the video, but
That is a different angle that came out, where the ICE officer, after he's on the ground, he's dead. He's asking where the gun is, and then the ICE officer, who in the previous footage looks to have the gun, says, "I have it."
Gotcha.
That is why I am confident enough to say that they took the gun.
Yeah.
And even if they didn't take his gun, they have like 6 guys wrestling him. Both his arms are like being grappled with, right?
yeah, see, I can't confirm that from the video I saw either.
Oh, there's like 6 of them on top of him. Like he's on his knees. And then the
Yeah, I
ICE
mean, so it
agent.
does. I will say the video I saw does look like an old-fashioned police beatdown. Like
Oh,
I will
dude, it looks like
100% say
it
that.
looks like a gang initiation. It just,
Yeah.
I mean, they're just kicking and beating the shit out of this poor guy.
Like they're
No,
hitting
hang
him
on,
with-
because Nick, to the second part of that, why do you think it's important that the officer had his firearm before the shots rang out?
So because the whole reason they shot him is because apparently he had a gun, and they have 6 officers beating him, like with the mace. It looks like they're hitting him with like an empty mace canister or whatever. I won't say subdued. He's definitely still resisting, but he's on his knees. And then the ICE officer,
He's fucking panicking. He's freaking the fuck out. They're beating the shit out of him.
Hold on, calm down, Wyatt. Jesus.
Well, I'm just saying, I don't blame him. I'd be panicking too.
And then
he's in a lot of pain, presumably.
You see in the video, the ICE agent, one of the ICE agents draws his gun, walks around to where there's no ICE agent, and then shoots him. This guy's being restrained right now, and he decides to shoot him. Whether he has a gun or not, he's being restrained. You don't take the gun out and shoot the guy. They're restraining.
So my only thing is, if this guy doesn't, I'm going to play devil's advocate here just for a little bit, and it is specifically devil's advocate. If this guy, so putting myself in his shoes, he just got maced. He was trying to protect a woman, it looks like, or get her out of the way, step in between her and the officers. It's a little weird after the mace. He's still holding on to her as he's being dragged away, which is a little weird to me. Like, if you're trying to get somebody out of a situation, why are you dragging them with you back into it? But that could very well just be panic. Like, you just grabbed, like, you don't know you're still holding on to her at that point. You're in a lot of pain. You can't see, yada, yada, yada.
I see you're slipping around. You just need something to hold on to. Stay up.
Yeah, 100%. Like, so nothing there. He starts getting his ass beat, because that is exactly what happens. Like, he is getting the crap beat out of him. That's at least what the video looks like. Like, it looks like a lot of punching and kicking. No, like, I think there's one officer in the closest perspective that might be attempting some kind of typical hold or some kind of standard hold, like a knee in the back kind of hold. But that's ambiguous to me. After that, the only thing I can think is, like, the guy gets up and he's immediately reaching for his firearm because he just got the crap beat out of him. So, like, in every instinct at that point has to be like, I'm going to defend myself, right? He doesn't know that it's been, he doesn't know if it's there or if it's been taken away. He's just reaching for his firearm. And at that point, like, if you're a law enforcement officer and you see someone reaching, like, you're going to see a holster, you may not even see the gun, but you're just going to be like, oh, snap, he's going to pull a gun, shoot, done. Right. The reason I say that's devil's advocate is because, like, this whole video, if you watch at least the one that I've seen, and again, I'm going to leave plenty of room here to be wrong. It looks like he's confrontational. They decide to deploy the mace, which the whole purpose of mace and other non-lethal forms of enforcement is to not have to use your gun, right? Like, that's the whole reason they give it to you, as another tool in the tool belt, I guess. I don't see how that number of ICE agents could not have properly restrained and cuffed that man. And
well, for God's sakes, Garrett, there was only 7 of them.
I know that's probably my biggest. So, like, you took him to the ground. I don't see how even 1 or 2 officers could not get that man's hands behind his back. If you wouldn't have been so focused on, like, beating him, You very easily could have put him in handcuffs, and so that's really what the video looks like. Again, I don't think there's a lot of room for ambiguity as to
Oh,
what
dude.
is happening in that situation. Like you guys are just wailing on him.
Yeah,
Hitting
and
him
well,
with
and
hitting him
these
with the mace cans, like just beating the dog.
Well,
these
so I don't know that it's mace cans. I don't know. Like I'm sure they're wearing at least composite toe boots. Like they're just beating the tar out of this guy. And if maybe for a second,
well, and
and
even
this probably goes to training and again emotional stability of some of these new officers. But like you were just beating the crap out of him. And if you wouldn't have done that and instead just detained the man, put his like because again, there were plenty of you and he's maced, right? And if you do that, he's detained, right? He's done. Like you've got his hands. Like then you're gonna find the firearm because you're gonna search him. He's still gonna be unable to do fucking anything except shit talk.
Yeah.
And then everyone gets to go back home to their families, right? Like that's um,
well, I don't think these ICE agents are like you said. They were beating the shit out of him, and they were having fun doing it, dude.
I don't
This
think
is the
he threw a
thing.
punch.
This is the
right.
thing.
So that's a problem, right? Like
Like,
if you're laughing and having a good time beating down a
well, they
subject, that's what.
clapped. This is what I was going to bring up. So in the Renee
he's
Good
clapping.
one, hold on, Nick. The guy was saying, he said "fucking bitch." Well, in this one, like this guy like saw it, and then he's like clearly sees this dead body, and he does like 2 or 3 claps, and it's like, now listen, maybe he was clapping because he was like, "fuck," maybe.
Yeah, well,
But
fucking done,
but
dumbass. Like.
But it sure looks bad, given that they just, I mean, literally beat this dude up. I'm not saying they beat him within an inch of his life, but they were roughing the dude up. Like if
Oh,
someone
yeah.
was doing that
Yeah.
to you or me, you'd be like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? You'd be
It
ready to throw down.
It looked like one of those old school civil rights videos you would see, like
Well,
where they would.
But so I feel like we've covered this one pretty good. And it seems pretty fucking bad. I mean, maybe, who knows? Maybe they'll investigate this one. The one of the guys said that they were, but he may get vetoed. There's no telling. I'd be very curious to see. What's up, Nick?
Another thing, again, is it Christy Knoll, the head of the
No.
DHS? No, she again recently, right after this happened, labeled the guy a domestic terrorist.
Well, listen.
And
what else is she supposed to do? Is she, this is we were texting about Calvinism earlier. We were all shit talking them. Like, what is she supposed to do? Is she supposed to be responsible and take accountability? Like her job.
God forbid she does. God forbid there's some accountability.
No, her job. She wasn't selected because she was going to be the best. She was selected because she was the most loyal to Trump, and Trump wants this done. So at the end of the day, she's going to say whatever she has to say. Like, I mean, maybe that's not fair, but that's what I've seen so far. Not just for this, for everything, like about the Epstein files, about the fucking, they will just lie and they have no shame, Doesn't matter.
And that's the problem.
The same as Calvinists.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, yes. Agreed. Okay, well, we'll round off with this one, unless there's more you guys want to say about that. But I really want to get into last 5 minutes. Like, what do we want to see going forward? Like, do we want to see a reduction in the workforce? Do we want to see ICE abolished? Do we want to see better training? Do we want to see the mask on? Garrett, I got questions about the mask. The masks really don't bother you at all?
No, not really. So if there were improper investigations, the masks don't matter, right? If there were body cams, like I'm sure we're going to touch on.
It turns out I was
matter.
actually looking it up. The state of Minnesota offered them body cams, and they refused them, and they still are, evidently. Which is just because ICE is like, we don't have that. We don't have that in our new budget. That's $75 billion. 10 times more than it ever was. But they're like, we don't have it. And the state of Minnesota is like, we'll give you ours. And they're like, fuck you. And it's
like, so nobody thinks this is an actual budgeting problem. They think it's just we don't want to, right? Like,
right.
and
we have
really
to ask why. And that's our job. We have to ask why.
Right. Why are you refusing body cams? Right. It's like, you're applying at a job and they say there's security cameras. Or like, do you have a problem being on camera and being watched while you work? And someone says, yes, I do. Well, why? Like, what are you doing that you don't want recorded?
Only wrongdoers need to be worried, right? Isn't that the old saying?
Yeah. I'm not a big fan of that ideology for civilians, but for specifically law enforcement officers, people who have this need to have this higher degree of accountability. Yeah, 100% you need body cams on these ICE officers. 100, just as much for their protection. So circumstances from, the sideline street, the street view of this could be very lacking. If you've got six guys with body cams on, whatever's there is there, right? Like you're going to have so much video data that it's just irrefutable.
So you're not gonna make
Um,
them look good.
Nick, what do you think
yeah, so
about the
in this case
mask
it
and
wouldn't
the
make it in this case it wouldn't make them look good, but in other cases where there's a street side view that looks terrible, it might save their ass. It might show the guy going for a gun on his waistband,
for sure?
right? That
Yep.
nobody else saw. And that's my thing. Like that's really what I want to see with ICE going forward is I want to see a just especially given these two cases, a supreme level of accountability. Like you are going to be off duty, you're going to be investigated thoroughly, and you're going to be terminated and maybe even prosecuted if you're found to have to be culpable. And to me, it's that cut and dry. Like you cannot have a federal law enforcement arm with zero accountability. That's egregious.
Nick, what do you think about the mask? I'm going to get to my point on the mask because they really fucking bother. I can't believe they don't bother you two.
No. Masks bother me. The reason masks bother me is, God, like no other law enforcement has to wear them, right? Even police who've had, we could all agree, probably a reputational downgrade in recent times with everything. They don't have to wear. They don't wear masks. Masks really do bother me. Like I want to know who is doing this, right? I think body cams are obviously must have. We've seen body cams exonerate police officers in situations where public was a bit like you didn't have to shoot that person, and then you see the body cam where they draw a knife or a gun or something, and it exonerates the police officer for taking lethal action, and it's also put some cops away where they just shot someone who you can clearly see both hands are empty. They shot him just cause or whatever. It's put them away. Body cams are a must-have in my opinion. I hate masks. I hate the idea that these guys can. It's almost like a gang mentality to me with masks. Like why do you need to if you're doing this if doing something this right and this justice, why do you have to cover your face?
Yeah, that was my thing too.
Right?
Well,
Like if you're
so it's the same reason that Spider-Man wears a mask, in my opinion, is because like the Green Goblin will for sure go after Aunt May. If he knows who you are, he's going to hurt your family to hurt you, right? And that's really I
But
touched
who's
on
they?
it, but right. So whoever's doxing him, whoever's threatening these ICE officers, and now officers get like death threats presumably all the time. I'm just saying, like, if you're doxing these people and putting their families at risk because you can find their identity, I totally understand wanting to wear a mask. So again, in my day job, if somebody was sending me,
comes with the territory. Like
yeah, I tend to agree with Nick.
no. So
If a police officer says like, "Hey man, I'm a patrol guy. I'm going to be out in the street. It's going to be hard neighborhoods. Like some of these dudes, these gang members might write my name down. My nameplate is on my right chest, right? Like I want to wear a mask. I want to take off my nameplate. A police officer is going to get told by his department head, yeah, hey man, like that's really not how we do business here. Like we're public servants, we do good work. You shouldn't be cracking too many skulls. Like go ahead.
I get that logic, I do. But how many like whole police agencies are getting doxxed right now? Like, and again, if I was being threatened for my death job, like, so if my day job people were threatening, like, I'm gonna come to your house and murder your family, like I'm probably gonna wear a mask too. Like
it's just an average day on the internet. Who hasn't gotten death threats at this point in life?
And I get that perspective. I'm just saying that like you shouldn't be in that job of ICE if you're not comfortable with like basically the public having some understanding who you are. It'd be like if you're like, I don't like having my name on a public database, but I work, I'm a teacher, I'm a coach. Like people can look up my salary and look up my name and stuff. And it's like, well, then you can't be a teacher or a coach, you know what I mean? Or a whatever, right?
Also, that's a decent point, right? Like, so my rebuttal to that would be like, they're like, sure, the officer signed up for this, but their family didn't, like, their kids didn't, their kids aren't the ones doing it. Like,
No, and I get that. And listen, I'm
it's,
not.
Yeah.
I think we all agree on like if you like dox a guy, like there's consequences to that, and if somebody does it because you dox them, there's consequences for that too. Um, but here's my thing. All right, let's say the March for Life is this week, right? If the Biden Harris administration had won again, and they sent masked federal agents and started cracking fucking skulls, and they shot a protester who happened to be armed, I don't think you would be like, yeah, I get why they were masked. You know what I mean? You'd be like, this is third world. Like this is some shit out of Cambodia,
Like
or
no
China.
well,
other
it's straight, like Nick said, I would probably say it's straight, just like gangster. Like,
no
Yeah.
other federal agency has to wear masks. It's only ICE.
Well, it's because the other ones, like, nobody's fucking with U.S. Marshals. You know what I mean? Like, they have pride in what they do. They want you to see that, like, I'm the one who, saved your ass from a federal fugitive. Or same
well,
with,
so not a lot of like it's just disincentivized, right? Like, so when people are present, people are less likely to act up.
right?
Like when police are present and stuff, or security's present, whatever.
Sure,
I
I
mean, so
agree.
that's a good point. That's a good point. Like, I honestly, so I know these ICE agents are getting targeted, but I haven't heard any case of like someone actually like having their home assaulted or their family assaulted. Um, so like, I guess to counter my other point, I mentioned Spider-Man. Like, none of these people are Green Goblin, right? Like, so very few people are actual fucking monsters.
Yeah,
Like, we're all sinners, but very few of us are cannibals. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like,
Well, like Renee Good was not gonna show up to her killer's house. You know what I mean? And same with this
right,
guy. He was not gonna show up to an ICE officer's house, even if he had the full access and ability. He wouldn't have had. You know what I mean? Like that's and no more than like a hit on a cop. You know what I mean? Like I guarantee you, if we measured out the numbers, there would be way more cops dying than there would be ICE agents.
oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
But
And some of that's just going to be virtue of, more plenty. But you know what? I'll go ahead and say, like, until like there are some legitimate risks, and honestly, even when there are legitimate threats on specific officers or their family, I presume they would just do what other law enforcement areas do and just increase security around that property, right? Like, okay, well, your wife and kids are going to get an escort,
yeah,
or
sure.
something like that, something
yeah,
akin to that.
God knows they can afford it now.
I said I don't find them supremely troubling, just because I find that there are different ways to hold these people accountable, like for like law enforcement, right? You could get a badge number, you could get, but these are totally unmarked people, from what I understand, right? They don't have nameplates, they don't have badge numbers visible,
No, they
like,
they
Yeah.
they might
and they
say
don't,
police or
and
ICE or
very
something.
critically, they don't have body cams, right?
Right.
Yeah, like how do you
Um,
hold someone accountable if you don't know which one it was?
The guy who killed the officer who shot Renee Good, he's recording on his fucking cell phone. Like his personal cell phone he's recording on, and it's like that's what's going to be evidence instead of body cams. It's
right.
we're in a different planet. Okay, and this is the last thing, and I know we've yapped long enough. Is going forward, like, do you guys want to see this abolished? You want to see this changed, or do you want to see this like completely reformed?
I definitely agree with what Wyatt says. Like I want to see this start over from the ground up. You're gonna have to. I really think you have to because it just seems like there's so many bad apples. You have to throw out the bunch and restart.
Oh, and so background checks take time. The benefit of it is, like, I don't think it's necessarily has to be like, salt the earth and start over. But I would like to see, one, higher levels of accountability, like we've talked about, and then I would like to see proper investigations done. Like, the most absurd, one of the most absurd ideas that has come up this conversation is the vice president or Homeland Security saying that these people are above scrutiny. No one is above scrutiny. That is absurd to say, especially about a law enforcement branch. That cannot be true, or we are a fascist state. Like,
Well,
and that's just 100%, like, you meh.
Well,
So if I mean, and I'm not someone like I have belittled people who call Trump a fascist, but I am saying if your law enforcement branches are above scrutiny, that is fascism, right? Like that is fascist. So
Yeah,
you can't have that.
and I don't know if y'all saw this. This is something I really want to see changed about the leaked memo where they're saying now that ICE agents don't need a federal warrant to enter homes; they can just enter them.
Well, that's blatant. That's blatantly violative of the
From
Constitution.
from
Like,
from our administration, and to me, it's like, and when that came out, there obviously more protest happens in Minneapolis and stuff. And like, how would you feel middle of the night, a masked guy not telling you, like, not like showing you a badge or nothing, just trying to enter your house? Like, how would you react?
well, so and I mean, if anyone listened to like our Refined Peasants podcast, like it could be a well visible officer breaking into my house at night with a no knock warrant, and I'm probably just coming out gunslinging. Like I don't believe in no knock warrants. Period.
We have a castle
Um,
doctrine.
yeah.
I mean,
Again, that's just absurd.
yeah, and I
That's
think
absurd to say that ICE can violate your constitutional rights. Even if you're an illegal immigrant, like that's not something because you can't like that's not something that should be on the table as far as like risk assessment, right?
hmm.
That we might break into a civilian's home without a warrant. That's not cool. Like it's not acceptable.
Yeah, let me start with mine. Like I want this thing fucking completely just blow up all of ICE and restart. We'll rebuild from the ashes. We'll hire the good ones as best we can. I'm sure we're gonna lose some good ones in that process, but cost of doing business, you know. But which does suck. I'm not gonna lie. But we lose like the fascists. You know what I mean? So but I think that the reason that we're seeing this and the reason that like they're continuing to like pressure like the Trump administration specifically is because I think that they want like some sort of resistance to it. Like I think they want the fight. I think they want Antifa or whoever they think to fucking end up, shooting ICE officers so that way they can justify. And this is a total conspiracy, like from my brain. But I think that they want this. I think Trump and Vance and Stephen Miller and Kristi Noem, I think that they want the conflict because the
Well,
conflict helps them.
so to go to that, like, I mean, they have been talks about um, what's the word? Gathering. It's not gathering, but the National Guard in Minnesota, right? Like
Deploying,
they're
yeah.
talking about arming up like full militarization.
Well, and the
For
reason
what
they
is what
they
is
deployed the National Guard after
um
the shooting.
what
Yeah,
is what is this, what is actual peaceful protest? Like these people are antagonistic for sure, but these are not people who are setting cities on fire, right?
yeah, they're
Like
just calling them mean names.
right, and that's
They're playing. They're
perfectly
playing.
within the First Amendment. Like even if you were to do it like armed, so there's pictures of like people with ARs and stuff like that. I don't
Well
have a
within the
problem
right.
with that. Like obviously, don't be waving them around, pointing them at officers. But armed protest is still protest as long as you're not being violent or destructive. Um, to rally the National Guard or an actual military force against it seems like an overstep to me. Um,
I, I mean, I'll go
and
with
it's,
why. This is my own little tinfoil hat. I think again, Trump is wanting someone to, shoot ICE agents so he can do the Insurrection Act. That's my little tin hat conspiracy.
well, so that's verbatim what he said, right? Like maybe I'll institute the Insurrection Act up against
Yeah, he's
Minnesota.
just
Like,
he's just
yeah.
looking for an excuse, and he's just waiting for someone to give it. Right?
yeah, I mean, maybe. Um, I can't imagine that he actually wants that because he's got to know that how unpopular that would be, even with Republicans.
Do you really think so?
But
His
yeah,
base wouldn't care.
yeah.
I
I
don't.
mean,
Okay, let me ask you. If Trump does that and Trump invades fucking Minnesota. Like you're not voting Democrat in the next election because of it, are you?
yeah, no, probably not because
Yeah, well, there you
pro-life is
go. Well,
pro-life
yeah.
is
Well,
my
then,
take.
well, then
Like,
you don't really care that much about. It, you know what I mean? Like,
well, that's silly. Like to say that somebody doesn't care because they're still going to vote for the same party. Like, I don't think that that's
no.
productive. But
What do you mean?
like
How can you say you care, but you're not
because
gonna you're not gonna
you
vote
can't
the
say
same?
that I'm probably going to vote Republican because they are the pro-life party right now. I don't care about violations of constitutional rights. Like that's not.
Well, when
So why wouldn't you vote out the
I will
people?
grant this is a hypothetical, right? So let's keep that in mind. But
Yeah.
like, if the president invades like or fights off fucking Tim Walz, right? And like 2026 rolls around in November and you're like, I'm still gonna vote Republican. I feel like there's some moral qualms with that. Like there, you know what I mean? Like Democrats might be flawed,
Yeah.
right? But
Yeah, how you-
they've never pulled that shit, you know?
Yeah,
Like,
how are you not going to vote out the problem?
I mean, so that might be a situation where it's like state Republican and federal Democrat, maybe.
or well, maybe it's a Republican who votes against that shit. Like you know, like we don't really have a Rand Paul
Yeah, so
here,
100%. If there was a
but
Republican, say on the federal ticket, that came out and said, "Hey, we need to rein in ICE," I would vote for them
well,
over someone
even
who said, "No, ICE is totally fine."
well, even like we'll just say in this scenario we got Republican state and then Republican federal that are like, yeah, we fucking love it, like give them hell, you know. And then we got two Democrats that are like, this is blatantly unconstitutional and this is fascist. But I'm
So, like, are the
pro-choice.
Democrats are the Democrats also going to be pushing pro-choice comp? Like,
Well, I mean,
um,
you just kind of weigh that risk. I mean, you got to keep in mind too.
yeah, no,
Also,
no,
well,
no.
just hear me out. There's
I'm
not,
so strong. I'm so strongly against baby murder
but what
that yeah,
that you're
You
most
want to
willing.
other things
violate
are
the
acceptable.
Constitution for it, huh?
Come on now, right? Like you gotta. Well, listen, I know this is your big issue, and I understand, and I could pick on Nick for the same thing for his. So I don't want you to think you're getting picked on here, but and I know you feel a lot more strongly about that than he does about overtime tax, but you got to. I just the odds that the Democrats are going to pass like this nationwide abortion ban or not abortion ban, abortion like you know full 9 months, whatever. I just think it's a little silly, right? Like
It's
even
just silly.
you know what I mean?
Being a
Well,
silly
so
goober.
I can get what you're saying, just because like it's a hype. Like, so in that situation, it's a hypothetical versus like what's happening right now. So they might do this, but this is what's happening right now, like actually happening, right?
Right.
Um, yeah, I don't know. It's maybe, like I said, especially if they continue on this like streak of like no accountability. Um, because again, like whether or not these two people get charged, I mean, at least from what we know about the second case, it seems pretty cut and dry to me. So if you cut this guy free, if assuming nothing changes, that seems really terrible. And you just can't have that. Like you can't have law enforcement agents that aren't accountable for things.
Right, but we just
Because
don't
like
want to. We just don't want to enable that, right? Like that's my thing. Is like it's like if for example, let's say you voted for Biden to do I don't know, fucking whatever, right? And then he doesn't do it, and he actively goes against like a core framework of the Constitution, right? Then I feel like it's kind of our duty to be like, you know, we kind of got to either vote against that or vote for Democrats who are going to vote against that type of thing. You know what I
well,
mean?
so
Like
actual violations of the Constitution, like that's a Supreme Court issue. Like you can bring that between elections, right? Like you can bring up charges from the Supreme Court, or bring up
right
a case before the
the
Supreme Court.
court.
But
Well, you run into the problems with the court, right? Because Trump picked over half of them, or just one under half, right? So what are they going to do? They're going to vote against him, you know?
I mean, so again, like we've discussed the Supreme Court. Like I feel like a lot of them are above that kind of pettiness, or not pettiness, that kind of like blind loyalty. Like you nominated
Really?
me and made me Supreme Court. Yeah,
Really?
I mean, I would like to think so. Maybe I'm naive.
Well, then let me ask you, and I'm keeping in mind that you may not read as much of this as much as I do because like I swim in this shit. But like they literally ruled that anything he does as president, he is criminally immune. Um, that
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
again, that's perverse to me. Like, so there needs to be a level of presidential immunity.
so like
I think we can
literally,
all probably agree on that.
yeah, like
But
literally, in
to say anyone in enforcement is above scrutiny is ridiculous.
yeah, and I can kind of get where their head's at. Their head is at like, listen, if he has to act rash and like he can't wait on Congress, then he gets a little bit of leeway. But the argument that they literally use is that if he used SEAL Team 6 to kill members of Congress, he would be criminally immune from that.
See that? Yeah, that's dumb.
And for those of you who think I'm exaggerating, that's in the dissenting opinion, right, of the actual Supreme Court filing. They were like, would this be unconstitutional? Or sorry, no, would he be criminally immune from that? Yes. Yes, he would. Like that's so like, as far as what Trump can do.
That's an opinion. Like that's for sure an opinion.
Right.
Not
But they're not total
Yeah.
sycophants. But I'm just saying that like if we're relying on the Supreme Court to restrain the federal government, specifically Trump, we're in bad shape, fellas.
Which is nuts because that's their whole job. Like,
Well, Trump's like, you in what army? Like he doesn't believe in Congress. He doesn't believe in like he believes he's king right now. He doesn't do you think that Trump has a concept of checks and balances? And I understand this is an easy question now that you don't have to vote for him again. But like it just does this guy really believe in the Constitution? I feel like he doesn't,
I don't know. So as far as checks and balances, I think we'd have to go far back to find a president who actually believed and acted like it in checks and balances.
Oh, dude, this is
most
different,
presidents of
though.
my lifetime have acted unilaterally.
Dude,
I don't think
Trump-
so.
Trump-
I don't think it's that different.
Oh,
like
dude,
Trump
that's
mobilized-
crazy.
most presidents have acted unilaterally, especially with military action.
Trump sent
No
National
president has
Guards
actually
from one
been
state to
charged
another.
for crimes in office. I think this isn't a Trump exclusive thing.
We've never
right? Like he's the boogeyman of today, but
I don't
that
really
doesn't make
think
it
so.
right either. This is not a condoning of it either. Like Trump is not a king. Congress has a purpose. The Supreme Court has a purpose. Whether or not they are functionally performing those purposes, yeah, I'll leave it to
When's the last time you heard of a president mobilizing one state's National Guard to go to another state?
Oh, kudos to our governor for telling Trump to go fuck himself when they were like, hey, we want to get the Oklahoma National Guard and we want to send them to Chicago. And, Kevin Stitt was like, no, so kudos to him because, and he gave the perfect example because whenever you're talking to Republicans, you gotta break things down for them. And he was like, imagine during COVID, if Biden wanted to send the California National Guard to Oklahoma. He's like, we would all be pissed, right? And all the Republicans go, And I know I'm being a dick, but it's because it's late at night. But anyway, you guys get the idea. Like he used the perfect example, and he made it super clear that like, hey, we wouldn't be okay with this shit if
the shoe was on the other foot,
right? And so, but that requires principles, which Kevin Stitt seems to have when he wants. So
I know I'm as shocked as everybody else.
Stands on business sometimes.
Exactly. But any final thoughts? Maybe not even on immigrant, just Trump in general. I'll leave the last word to you guys, and then I'll hop off here.
My final thoughts would be is if John Brown wouldn't like you, I probably ain't gonna like you either.
I don't know who John Brown is.
Oh wow. Look him up.
Dude, great story. You and I'm not even kidding. You'd love him. Like as like a principled Christian conservative, you'd love him. He was so anti-slavery. He said, "I will attempt to like install a insurrection in Virginia to free the slaves." Like he is like the guy who started the Civil War, honestly. So
didn't start it, but definitely put it on its path.
Yeah, powder keg.
Definitely kicked down the first domino, like full on invaded Harper's Ferry, Virginia.
Failed, but
yeah. Well, yeah, he had like 19 men versus, and funny enough, the people who caught him and hanged him,
General Lee,
and
or Lieutenant Lee, whatever the fuck he was at the time.
Well, the guy who eventually became the president of the Confederacy, traitors.
Jefferson Davis was there. I didn't know that. Interesting.
Yeah,
but no, he was a civil. I shouldn't say civil rights guy. He was an abolitionist who like was a militia guy and was like, "I'll fucking kill you."
Use the Bible for he was a preacher.
He looks like Moses. You should look up if you just look him up. There's a famous like painting of him, and he looks like Moses having the 10 Commandments and a fucking rifle. It's pretty badass.
Nice.
Yeah, if John Brown wouldn't like you, I ain't gonna like you.
So, I mean, I guess in that same vein, like, I don't think Thomas Jefferson would be a big fan of the kind of power that's been taken by Trump.
I don't think any
Thomas
of the
Jefferson was my favorite president. So,
I don't think any of the founding fathers would be happy with how things are going right now.
That's a whole nother conversation. So I guess final thoughts for me. I want to see an increase in accountability for ICE agents. I would like some kind of investigation. I would like proper investigations into these shoots, just like every other law enforcement branch in America. I would like to see consequences doled out, justly. Justice applies to all of us. And I want to see body cams like this. That's really the most troubling thing to me is the refusal of body cams. I didn't know they were offered and refused them. That's like of all the stuff that raises the most red flags for me. Like that's really concerning. I don't know. That maybe that and the vice president and Homeland Security saying that they're above reproach, like that. Those two things in tandem, I just can't condone that. Like ICE is doing an important job, but God, that's not good, guys. Like, and I'm the farthest thing from Trump's a fascist in the world, but that's pretty fascist. Like,
If not
I don't know
fascist,
what
like
you want.
fascist shaped.
I don't know what you want from me, guys. You're not giving me much to work with here. Like,
See, well, and I would encourage people to get away from that mindset because it's not like you vote Republican, but like you're not a fucking staffer for these people. Like you owe these soulless fucks nothing. Like they work for you. If they're not fucking cutting it, then you need to vote for somebody else. You know?
right.
Like Nick, for example, he didn't get the overtime tax. Nick will be voting for anybody but a fucking Republican the next election. And then if the
Yeah, damn
Democrats
right.
win and then the Democrats fuck it up, Nick will be voting for anyone other than a fucking Democrat. You know what I mean? Like, so.
Didn't he? I thought he did pass the overtime tax.
Not until after I was off
Well, there's
fucking hourly.
there's
No, it's
it-
retroactive. It's retroactive. It applies to all of 2025, bro.
well there
Yeah,
well,
but
then, well there's well it's not what you think. It's not unlimited. It's capped. It's not as much as you think. And like
It's a very
you,
small amount.
you're making up for
Yeah.
it with a higher income tax bucket. So like it nets to like a couple $100, which is nice. I guess that's not
So
nothing.
it's not exactly no tax on overtime. Like when you hear no tax on overtime, I feel like appropriately it's assume no tax on overtime. Like
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
plus I would only get it for like a couple months maybe. If it is 2025, like the whole 2020, I was only on hourly.
It should be. It should still be. But
well, the fact that you transitioned from hourly to salary isn't Trump's fault. Like you can't blame it for that, bro.
He
Like
said day one he's doing
that's
it.
true. That's
He
true.
said the first week he's doing it, and that motherfucker didn't do it till the
But
end of 2025.
it applies retroactively. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It applies to all of your 2025 earnings. That's what I'm trying to say. Like
He's-
same thing with no tax on tips. I'm like, so again, if we're calling balls and strikes here,
No, I agree.
like,
When am I going to see the money then?
When you
tax
file
refund
your
time.
taxes, when you file your this,
I never get anything back on my
Google-
taxes. I usually have to pay.
that's not Trump's fault either.
It's someone's fault. I have to be mad at someone.